Yo, what's up YouTube? Opie here, and today we're gonna kind of break down Spellbreak's brand new game mode, Dominion. If you don't know what Dominion is at this point, it is a 5v5, 3-point control domination game mode. So first things first, in Dominion, you will be able to queue up with a full team of 5. It's no longer just one solo queues, duos, or trios. You can actually now completely invite all 4 of your teammates in before you even select your class and talents, before you even queue into Dominion. So after you've got all 4 of your teammates, you then pick your class like normal, you then pick your talents like normal, and then you hit a queue timer. Once the queue timer does this little matchmaking magic, then you'll be thrown into the lobby island that we're used to from the Battle Royale, and then it'll have the team separated. If you didn't queue in with a full team, you'll see who's on your team, and then after the match starts to start, you'll see the map come up in the background, whichever map you'll be choose from, which is either going to be at the beginning of Dominion on Chapter 2 launch, is going to be either Halcyon, Bogmore, Himwood, and Dustpool. So you'll see one of the maps pop up, which does kind of indicate what your offhand wants to be, because two of the maps are pretty large, and 2 of the maps are pretty short. The 2 large ones, in my opinion, are Halcyon and Bogmore, and then the 2, which Bogmore's not super large, but Halcyon's a big map, and then you've got Dustpool, which is rather small in close quarters, and Himwood, which is also pretty small in close quarters. So once you've seen the map come up in the background, you also are going to be introduced to the merchant, and the merchant gets a little bit confusing. So when you're first introduced to the merchant, you're going to see 3 options, and that entire 3 line of options we're going to call a deck for all intents and purposes, and then each individual option we're going to call a card. So you're first introduced with 1 deck, and all 3 cards on the very first option are going to be all offhand gauntlets. On the bottom below that, you can also see a button that says reroll, and you have 3 of those for the entire game. You can use them whenever you want. However, at the beginning of the match is kind of when I've decided I would like to use them, because if I don't see the offhand that I like on the first 3, you can reroll, and then the next option you're going to see technically 3 new gauntlets. You pick your offhand, and then the next option is going to be, you're going to pick your rune. So you're going to have 2 options, 2 currency to spend at the very beginning of each Dominion match. So you're going to be able to pick a gauntlet, offhand gauntlet, and a rune. Before we get any farther, we're going to have to talk about what this currency is that you are spending at the merchant and how you get them. The currency is called a boon, and you can only get 3 at any time. So once you hit a 3 marker, you can't actually get any more until you spend them. You're gonna be able to see those boons in the bottom right of your screen. There's gonna be a little purple pink sideways square that kind of fills up with a squiggly and has a number on the top. If you don't have any, it doesn't have a number, and then it goes 1, 2, and 3 as you fill up. The way you get this currency is by doing damage either to a player or a Vowguard jungling area bot. So like I stated, at the very beginning of the match, you already have 2 that you can spend. You get those 2 free basically every single time, just so that you can get that offhand and you can get that rune. However, after that is when you have to implement the damage equals boons kind of rule. Once you do damage, you get the boons, but then how do you spend those boons? The way that you spend your boons is you can do one of 2 things. Either you get exiled, so you start your refall animation, or if you have at least a minimum of 1 boon, you can hold your interact button and recall to the merchant. I typically don't choose to recall unless I have a full stack of 3 boons that I can use. That way I can just continue to capture points and do damage to either bots or the jungling bots or other players, so that I can actually build up those boons and spend them all as frequently as possible. If you do decide to recall, you will go visit the merchant, you spend your boons, and then you will be able to, you actually drop right back to where you recalled from, and you have full health, full shield. If you have certain talents also that reset on death, you'll have those talents back as well, like rebirth. But yeah, so once you recall, you go visit the merchant, you spend your boons there. The difference between the merchant before the game, when you pick your offhands and your runes, and in the game, is that the decks that you will be given are not going to be offhand all decks, rune all decks. There's also something in Dominion called blessings, and there are no longer any sort of belts, amulets, or boots like there are in the Battle Royale. However, at the beginning of the match, every player starts with the equivalent of a rare amulet and a rare sprint speed or rare boots, which is going to be +3 sprint speed and 70 mana. You do not start off the match with any kind of belts or any kind of armor and that sort. So the way that you upgrade those type of things is through blessings. So you will have a deck of all blessings every once in a while, which is either going to be your armor blessing of +20, your mana blessing of +20, or your sprint speed blessing of +3. When you're spending your boons, I've said a few times that there will be different kind of decks. At the beginning of the match, you've got the offhand complete deck, where there are 3 different offhands, your complete rune deck, which is 3 different runes. But inside the match, you will be given a deck of it'll be 3 objects, 3 items, and it's going to be 1 upgrade to either your rune or your offhand, and then 2 other upgrades that will either be a rune that is not the rune you have, or an offhand, which is not the offhand that you have. You will be given an upgrade, though, to one of the 2 that you do have. It will either be the rune that you have or the offhand that you have. One thing that you do need to keep in mind with Dominion is that every single time you go to the merchant, everything in there is an upgrade. It might not be the exact gauntlet you want or the exact rune that you want, but it will be an upgraded level. So if you have a common gauntlet, offhand gauntlet, or if you have a common rune, it'll be an uncommon. If you have uncommon, then it'll be a rare, and so on and so forth. Also, bots drop gauntlets, they drop runes, sometimes they drop scrolls, they also drop heals. The only place in the game that you can get heals is inside killing one of the bots, the jungling bots. Players do not drop any kind of equipment at all. They don't drop runes, they don't drop gauntlets, they don't drop pots or shields. They do, however, always drop 1 scroll, which is the only place that you can get scrolls is by a downed player or a downed jungling bot. You cannot buy them from the merchant. So like I said, buying from the merchant is a little bit confusing. Once you get the hang of it, it's still hard to explain. However, just think of it as you can still reroll if you don't see what you like. There will always be an upgrade to either one of your, either be an upgrade to your offhand, your main hand, or your rune. Then you will be given a full deck of blessings, or it will be combined between blessings and offhands or runes. It's not super easy to understand. I still am trying to figure out how everything completely works at the moment when it comes to the merchant, but once you get it, you kind of feel the vibe for it. It's pretty simple. You do end up getting what you want pretty quickly. You might not get to the rarity that you want pretty quickly. However, I was playing in a bunch of games with very skilled players, so if I was in a lobby with less skilled players, it might be easier for me to do a lot of damage, get a lot of boons, and buy a lot of things from the merchant. So we've broken down kind of what the game mode is. We've broken down kind of how you get your equipment and everything like that. Now let's talk about a little bit about scoring. Scoring, first of all, the match is 15 minutes maximum every single time. No matter if you hit that score, if you don't hit the score that's given and that 15 minutes hits, the game's over and it goes to whoever has the highest score. Scoring starts out with 75 points. You have to get 75 points and then you win. However, if it's a full map of 5v5, you have to get 150 points and then you win. It's typically before 15 minutes. The games go pretty quickly from when I was playing in the Dominion event. I would assume it probably won't go that quickly on live in every single lobby, just because I was playing, like I said earlier, with a bunch of very skilled players have been around Spellbreak for a very, very long time, so they know how the gameplay kind of goes. So it's either you get 150 points if you have a full 5v5, or you hit that 15-minute and then the game is over. In Dominion, we've talked about a few times how the game mode is a capture the point zone. There's 3 different points on the map. There's sun, moon, and star. To capture the point, you go to the little icon that you see across the map. You'll see them from pretty much everywhere. When you get to that icon, you'll see a little red circle on the bottom, no matter if it's your point, no matter if it's an uncontested zone or the other team's point. If it's your point, it'll be blue. If it's not, it'll be red. You stand on top of the point. A little VFX will kind of fill that red with blue. You also hear a sound cue. Once you get the point, the sound cue will say it's yours. And then you can also, this is how the scoring is affected. So the way that scoring works is the amount of zones that you have control of is how many points you get every 10 seconds passively. So if you have 0 points, you get 0 points. If you have 0 zones, you get 0 points every 10 seconds. So if you have 1 zone, you get 1 point every 10 seconds. If you have 2, then 2, 3, then 3. Also, on the other end of it, if you exile somebody, then you get 1 point. If you have 1 zone, you multiply that by the exile, so you get 1 point. When you have 2 zones, you get 2 points per exile. 3 zones, 3 points per exile. Also, a player that is in the area doesn't have to be on top of your zone. An enemy player can contest your zone just by being in the area. So if you notice that the zone is stopped, there is a player around you, you just go find them, you kind of deal with it, and then you get on with your business. Across all of the maps, in certain little lanes, in areas, sometimes on the outside of the map, sometimes on the inside of the map, always in the same spot though. Every time you deal with them, they'll come back. There will be these teams of 3 jungling bots that will always be in the same area where you can do damage to them. They'll either drop equipment, your gauntlets or runes, or shields or potions, or a scroll. Not every time with a scroll, not every time with potions, not every time with equipment. They will respawn every 20 to 35 seconds. They'll do a little animation, and then they'll start noodling you. They don't have gauntlets that do damage. which is interesting because they do sometimes drop gauntlets. However, it is a good way to farm that damage to get boons. It's also a good way to proc things like vampiric or other talents as well. And last but not least, how do your classes upgrade in Dominion? This is a little bit different because in Battle Royale, you upgrade your classes by going to the next zone. You get that first talent and then you hit that zone and you go to and you get the next talent, next zone, next talent, next zone, next talent. This game mode doesn't have zones, so how do you get them? The way that it works is time-based. So you drop into the game with your first class skill, and then after 2 minutes, you get the second one. After 4 minutes, you get the third one, and then you have to double that 4 minutes, and then at 8 minutes, you get your third and final, or you get your fourth and final skill. Speaking of the zone that is not technically in this game, there is a red ring around the map. It looks the exact same like the Spellstorm in Battle Royale, but it is red. It is an insta-kill barrier. You can go through it. It'll take like a second, and then you will just completely die. So if you want to touch it, by all means, go touch it. I know I actually forgot to touch it when I did the play event, and now I can't stop thinking about it. So as soon as it comes back on the 8th for Chapter 2, I will be touching that zone. It is red, and it looks very fun. So if you'd like to go touch it, but you will lose a point. And if they have 3 zones, then you'll lose 3 points, or they'll gain 3 points. So be careful with the zone. So I know that was a lot of information. It's a lot to go around. If you have any questions, I'm hoping maybe I can answer them a little bit better down in the comments down below, or just come to stream. We can talk about it one-to-one and a little bit understand your questions a little bit better. Maybe I've found out a little bit easier way to say things. But yeah, put some stuff in the comments if you have questions. Hit like, hit subscribe if you want more of this content. And I'm excited to play this game every single day and not really worry about the Battle Royale. So this game mode is so freaking fun. But guys, I love you, and go be nice to people. Go hang out with some people. Go do the things that make you happy. I'll see you later. Peace.
I'm hungry where them Cheetos at. They stay biting like where them mosquitoes at. I'm on point like an elbow. Hands red like Elmo. My mama said, have you had enough? I looked and I said, no ma'am. I go ham in the grocery store or Fanta and Takis.